The heart center has an enormous influence on our lives. It's the heart of the tribe after all, and the tribe, well, represents not only the communal responsibility for ensuring that the material in the tribe is dispersed correctly, but it also has an entrepreneurial responsibility to get out there and find that material so that the tribal dynamic can flourish. So on the one side we have this marriage bond within the tribe that brings the glue that holds the family unit together, and on the other we have this warrior that's designed to go out there and be the entrepreneur, be the soldier if necessary, to bring in the material resources for the tribe. And it's for this reason that the shadow, the not self mind, is profoundly influenced by the heart center, and of course an open heart center, because the implication for the not self mind is that there is a threat here of not being able to prove oneself. The heart is all about proving oneself, proving one's worthiness to oneself and or other people. And it's more than the ability to prove oneself. There's an implied threat in terms of the heart about not proving oneself to others. This is why the heart center is the number one in terms of the impact ranking of the not self mind. This is the most influential center, if it's open in the design, that is corrupting the decision making of that particular not self or shadow mind. The perceived threat of the heart center through the mind is a direct correlation of the consequence of not proving one's worth. And in terms of the impact ranking, well, 30 to 35% of people have a defined heart. They're not concerned with consequences or threat or proving. It's the 70% of the people with undefined heart centers where that becomes the number one priority in terms of decision making. If I make this decision, will it show me as worthy? Will it bring me the plaudits? And of course, the irony in all of this is that where you have an open center, you are not here to participate in the defined center's game. So somebody with an undefined heart center has nothing to prove. No perceived threat, because you're not even in the proving game. Those with a defined heart, it's a lifetime of proving, giving one's word, following through on that promise. They will break their heart if they don't follow through on that promise. But it's seriously more damaging for somebody with an undefined heart to make promises. I will prove this. I will show you what I can do here. And the moment you cannot follow through with an undefined heart, that's when there are serious consequences, and the whole cycle of having to prove again how worthy you are because that time you were not worthy becomes a relentless task for that not self mind. So making a decision with an undefined heart in your not-self matrix always starts from this position of, I am unworthy. Everybody thinks that I should be able to do this. Well, I'm going to have to show them that I can. The best lover, the best provider, the most courageous. And if you don't prove those things, there's that threat always in the back of the mind. And it's not some generic worthiness proving game. The strategy of proving is directly related to the gates that are in the heart center. There are 4 gates in the heart center. All roads in terms of the tribe run to the heart center. And the particular theme of the mental proving that's going on is directly related to which of these gates that you have open or are there and have some kind of conditioning influence from the other end. And in looking at these 4 gates, well, the 21st gate, this is arguably the most powerful ego gate in the heart center, part of a manifesting channel. It's the gate of control in terms of the tribe. So all of the proving worthiness in terms of a not self mind related to this 21 is down to control. Meaning if you've got an open heart center and that person has the 21st gate, the whole theme of their shadow mind is that I have to be in control. If I'm in control, I will prove my worth to other people, to myself, and I will not be subjected to the potential threat that's there if I don't prove myself. The next most powerful gate in terms of the heart is the 51st gate. It's called the arousing in terms of the I Ching, and it's all about responding to disorder and shock. So it's the gate of shock. And ultimately, in terms of the shadow mind, the 51 is all about trying to prove one's worthiness by proving one's courage, by being the brave one. This is the gallbladder, the gall to prove worthiness. And of course, that can lead to all kinds of disastrous accidents. The young child with an undefined heart, the 51 sticking out of it. I can prove I can jump that gap. I can prove that I can leap out of this tree and show all of you. As people encourage that kind of stupidity, and of course the will is not there and they plummet to the ground. Or they drive that little bit too fast or square up to the local bully but get annihilated at the same time because they don't have the will to follow through and prove that kind of worthiness. Moving to the 40th gate. This is all about being loyal. It's part of the channel of community. It's related to the stomach in terms of our physiology. So this comes down in terms of the shadow mind to trying to prove loyalty in order to prove one's worth. And of course, there's always a threat implied there that if you don't prove your loyalty and thus your worth, you can be cast out from the tribe. And finally, the 26th gate, the gate of the egoist. So it's about proving worthiness through being egotistical. So this is a gate, certainly in the not-self, that can be so inflated that it can lead to lying, it can lead to exaggeration. I'm the greatest salesperson. I caught this enormous fish in the river, but it wriggled off the hook, trying to prove worthiness by ultimately telling lies. And given that this is related to the T cells, this is the thymus gland in terms of our physiology, the soldiers that become the backbone of the tribe and its aggressiveness if necessary, well, this can be a very aggressive gate as well, along with the 51 particularly. And the 26 can potentially turn to that aggression if necessary to back up their lie or make you agree with them to prove their worth. So in looking at any chart with an undefined heart center, always look for the open gates potentially that can link up to a gate at the other end of that person's design. Here we have somebody with an undefined heart, two open channels, so they're going to try and prove the 26 and the 40 here, but this is not so much of a threat to worthiness, because if they can't prove their worth in terms of the ego or the loyalty, well, it's always the other person's problem when it's an open channel. The 51 here, well, this is not something the not self-mind is trying to prove. It's really ignoring that 51. It's always trying to prove whatever else is in that heart center that is not me. So the 21st gate here is the ultimate gate for this not self-mind. And all you have to do at this point, knowing that it's the number one center in terms of this person's not self-mind, is you can have a very clear picture of the way they're going to act. the not self motivation. Their true motivation here is one of need, the need to do something that's necessary. That's the true motivation. But clearly this is a mind that is infected with fear. The transferred first colour motivation is driving the motivation here to be in control. So it fears a lack or loss of control, and of course the not self mind can overdo things and be one of these controlling people that you would always rather avoid, that have no actual power to control but are always trying to control. Here's another example, 2 open channels. So again, trying to prove control, trying to prove the ego, but the top priority here is trying to prove one's worth through trying to be the loyal one. I need, again, look at the transferred motivation. I need to prove my loyalty in order to prove my worth to others and to myself. Here's another one, 3 open channels. So the 26 is the real focus of this not self mind. Again, a fear driven not self mind, fearfully lying to back up this sense of worthiness if necessary, or certainly inflating the truth.